Good evening, I'm Ian Ross and welcome to 7 News. First tonight, frustrated police say it's time to stop the madness of Sydney's escalating gun crime. The latest shootout in a hotel car park has been linked to a family feud and the theft of pistols from a security firm. Tonight we can show you exclusive video of the gun battle as it happened.
Another war zone in Sydney's suburbs. Bullet holes through cars and fences, up to 50 shell casings left scattered and dozens of shaken witnesses.
A lot of people weren't getting down, people were having a look and I was trying to convince them that it's real gunfire.
Security video captured the shootout unfolding. A group of men was drinking in the popular King's Head Tavern. Later they can be seen in the car park where they were ambushed by 2 unidentified gunmen. The men scattered, chased by their attackers. The shooters returned to the car park, still firing. Smoke from one shot clearly visible. Moments later, another man was seen running through the tavern. Incredibly, only one man was wounded. A bullet grazed his right leg.
Completely outraged and shocked that these people in broad daylight, as I said, can come and start shooting when there are families.
A bullet also passed through one car where a mother was sheltering with her young child.
We have to stop this madness.
Strikeforce Gain detectives recovered a Glock pistol, allegedly one of 31 stolen from a security company in August. Also found Glock magazine clips modified to hold 30 bullets. Police allege it's a continuation of Sydney's bloodiest gang war.
Connected to the murder of the Razak family members and also the murder of Ahmed Farah.
Nassim El Zayat and Ramzi Aoud faced 20 years jail for firing with intent to harm. Magistrate Hugh Dillon told Sutherland local court it was a miracle no one was killed. Citing the risk of more revenge attacks, the magistrate refused bail and the 2 men will appear in court again in February. Robert Ovadia, 7 News.
Just hours after the gun battle, Strikeforce detectives were called to another shooting. A 59-year-old father was murdered on the doorstep of his Maryland's home. Police believe he wasn't the intended victim.
Grief and anger on the streets of Maryland's. Father of 3, Saeed Franji, shot dead on his front porch with bullets that may have been meant for his sons.
Our intelligence would indicate that he was not the primary intended victim.
The gunman had brazenly waited in a car in front of the family home, opening fire on Saeed's daughter as she approached, then killing her father when he rushed out to investigate.
The vehicle was parked out the front in the driveway, and our understanding is the lady approached to see whether she could assist to give them directions.
It's not the first time there's been gunfire at the Maryland's home. In September, the house was sprayed with 50 rounds during a drive-by shooting. This morning, friends gathered to mourn, all under the watchful eye of police. Neighbours describe an attack as quick as it was brutal.
Yeah, I heard 3 times shooting, and when I opened the door, I saw everything quiet.
Police say the attack isn't linked to others in the southwest, but investigators face a similar problem, a wall of silence, even from victims' relatives.
There is a considerable degree of reticence on the part of the victims and some closely connected witnesses to the crimes.
Jeff Bruce, 7 News.
Serial killer Ivan Milat will be questioned over the disappearance of 2 Sydney nurses in 1980. Gillian Jamieson and Deborah Balkan, both 20, were last seen leaving Parramatta's Tollgate Hotel. They were with a man in dirty work clothes and a black hat. Milat was then working at a roads department depot less than 2 kilometres away. He's serving life for the murders of 7 backpackers between 1989 and 1992. The head of the Reserve Bank says he's sorry for Australian home buyers caught by rises in interest rates. But there are no regrets, and he's hinted there may be more pain to come.
With 2 interest rate rises in 2 months, many believe the Reserve Bank is trying to burst the housing bubble.
At $535,000 once.
Not true, says its Governor, Ian Macfarlane.
Monetary policy has to be set, taking into account the average of all parts of the economy, not just to what is happening to one sector.
But appearing before a parliamentary committee, he regretted that homeowners are caught in the squeeze.
And, I feel sort of sorry for people who have just taken out a mortgage and then interest rates go up.
It's been necessary to keep a lid on inflation as world growth picks up.
And because they go up early, they don't have to go up as far.
Mr McFarlane says the aim is to get interest rates back to what he calls normal, 5.5% to 6%. With rates now set at 5.25%, that leaves room for one more rise. Certainly inflation isn't a concern according to mid-year official forecasts released by Treasurer Peter Costello. Economic growth is predicted to rise to 3.75%, unemployment remains steady on 5.75%, and inflation's down to 2.25%.
This is the payoff of 7.5 years of hard work.
And the government says its budget surplus is now $4.6 billion, less than the $7 billion expected after spending on Medicare, the drought and defence commitments. But that still leaves plenty of room for election tax cuts. In Canberra, Glenn Milne, 7 News.
Labor's new leader, Mark Latham, is tapping into national security fears by creating a shadow portfolio of homeland security. Sydney's Robert McClelland will be the shadow spokesman, taking in issues from border protection, crime prevention and terrorism.
A one-stop shop approach for working with the states and territories to enhance Australia's national security.
Former leader Simon Crean will again take on Peter Costello as Shadow Treasurer. Recalled frontbencher Stephen Smith moves to immigration. The Commonwealth is one country smaller tonight, with Zimbabwe announcing it no longer wants any part of it. Already under suspension, the African nation is pulling out rather than face further attack over election rigging and human rights.
Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe has had enough. Angry at his country's suspension from the Commonwealth and blaming John Howard for orchestrating it, he's taking Zimbabwe out of the club.
This is unacceptable. This is it.
The decision came just hours after Commonwealth leaders decided to continue the ban. They argued for days. There was sympathy from African neighbours who wanted the suspension lifted.
I understand President Mugabe, and he has my understanding, and also my cooperation.
We are still hoping that sooner than later sanity will prevail.
But Prime Minister John Howard argued decisively Zimbabwe should remain outside the fold.
There's an appalling level of inflation, there's extensive starvation and, according to my reports, continued instances of brutality being used as a political instrument.
The plan was to let Nigeria's President Obasanjo monitor any moves by Robert Mugabe to clean up his act before lifting the suspension. That's now all for nothing, and the Commonwealth has one less flag to fly. The outcome is a hollow victory for John Howard after 4 grinding days of diplomacy, and it will confirm Robert Mugabe's view that he's a victim of a white conspiracy. In Nigeria, Jeff Parry, 7 News.
Virgin Blue's flying high after a share market debut that's returned instant rewards for investors. But it's not only small shareholders who've made quick profits. The budget airline's founder is $800 million richer.
Richard Branson not the only one celebrating as Virgin Blue shares took off. 16,000 investors wanted in, including almost all the airline's staff. The float sold out 10 times over.
I don't think we ever dreamt that we'd get the kind of support that we did.
Issued at $2.25, Virgin Blue shares opened at $2.40, closed at $2.43. For investors with the minimum $5,000 stake, an instant paper profit of $400.
Pretty happy with that. Very happy.
Next year, the battle with Qantas's new low-cost airline Jetstar.
You mean One Star? Oh, Jetstar, sorry.
We play to win as well, and so I have no doubt that we'll be looking forward as opposed to over our shoulder as to what they might throw up at us.
If Richard Branson looks happy, well, he should be. So far, he's made around $800 million selling shares in the airline. Not bad for an original investment 3 years ago of around $20 million. Experts say this float has also helped restore investor faith.
We've had in the past the concerns about AMP and also Telstra, but this stunning debut from Virgin shows that investors have really warmed back to the share market.
Paul Caddack, 7 News.
Virgin Blue made 8% on its issue price, a tidy profit. Qantas almost unchanged, down 1 cent. Macquarie Bank up 39 cents and St George off by 25. Commonwealth Bank shares gained 19 cents, Telstra lost 4, and the ASX 200 dropped 5 points. The Australian dollar is now buying over 73.5 US cents. As parents flock to the shops to stock up on Christmas presents, they're being warned about dangerous toys. The Department of Fair Trading has pulled dozens from the shelves, saying some of the banned toys could even kill.
They look like enough fun to make this Christmas the best ever.
Oh, Santa!
But in the hands of some children, these toys could be dangerous.
There is no doubt in my mind that some of the toys that are here today are potentially lethal.
This mouthpiece comes right off and becomes a choking hazard. And like most of the 45 toys on this year's banned list, it's too easy to pull apart. But among the worst examples is this rattle set. It's marketed at 3-month-old babies. But there's a warning not to let a child under 3 years anywhere near it. For those choosing the perfect gift for their special little someone, the safety formula is pretty simple. A little common sense goes a long way.
It's all a recipe, I guess, isn't it? For pick the right store, pick the well-known brands, you know, read the labels, do everything you can do as a parent to make sure that you get the things right.
Most of the banned toys were imported from Asia and were found at cheap discount stores.
So the toy looks fairly reasonable for the price you pay. The problem is the price you pay might be too much.
The full list of banned toys is available on the internet at www.fairtrading.newsouthwales.gov.au. Damien Smith, 7 News.
New South Wales gets its green report card. That's next on 7 News. Also, Nicole Kidman's Hollywood premiere of her gritty new movie. And the Navy offers a chance to buy your very own warship. Sydney's air quality has improved and our water is cleaner, but too many of the state's natural resources are still being wasted. The latest report card on the environment shows we need to become smarter about conserving energy.
It's getting better, but New South Wales still has some pretty big environmental problems.
The state of the environment shows that on some issues we're getting 8 or 9 out of 10. On other issues we're not doing so well.
Most of the old pollution issues are improving. The beaches are looking good. The harbour's clean enough to welcome the whales and the air is fresher. But there are new problems.
We need to heed the wake-up call in this report that our current rate of resource use is not sustainable.
That includes fuels. We're burning too much in cars and power stations. Our thirst for water is no surprise, but we're still a long way from using it efficiently despite recent restrictions.
People may have to get used to it.
The government believes the clearance of native vegetation should be under control. Now farmers and activists have agreed to a plan, but you can't reverse 150 years of salinity. The Minister believes the whole community needs to rethink the way we use resources, but conservationists say that's a cop-out because government should be leading the way.
We're still nibbling at the edges and the plans still don't have sufficient funding, sufficient regulatory support.
Phil Black, 7 News.
Counting is almost complete in Russia, where over 100 million voters are electing a new parliament. Despite security fears, the only attack was an egg-throwing incident. The target was Prime Minister Mikhail Kazyanov, who laughed off the incident. Also smiling, President Vladimir Putin, his United Russia party polling well ahead of its communist rivals. Nicole Kidman's latest movie, Cold Mountain, has premiered in Hollywood. There were rumours about the actress and co-star Jude Law, but the romance is only on screen. Kidman's ex, Tom Cruise, has confirmed she's dating a rocker, Lenny Kravitz. No word, though, on whether the singer will join her at the Sydney premiere at the State Theatre next Wednesday. If you've given up hope of owning Sydney waterfront property, the Navy could have the next best thing. It's selling one of its warships, only a small one, but guaranteed to win any neighbourhood disputes.
She's an auxiliary minesweeper, the Brolga. Nearly 30 years old, 270 tonnes. She does go, although she hasn't for a year or so, and the Navy doesn't need her anymore. So on Friday at Darling Harbour, she'll be auctioned.
I think it's a wonderful ship, 270-tonne floating palace as far as I'm concerned.
Peter Catlin's in charge of selling her.
It's pretty steep. It's a good drop.
She can sleep nearly 20.
And a further cabin to your right. Do you have to knock? No, you can just enter. And inside that cabin, again, spectacular view of the Darling Harbour, as you can see, and they've left their sheets and blankets.
3 bathrooms, a laundry, kitchen.
Fairly nice kitchen. Stainless steel appliances.
You don't sell real estate in your spare time, by any chance? No, I don't. She's big, full headroom, mostly.
Ow! Mind your head.
Peter Catlin thinks she's a bit like Kerry Packer's ship, just smaller and cheaper.
We estimate somewhere between $200,000 and $500,000.
Great big engines to run, but imagine having your own bridge. We look like a couple of Navy men.
We need hats, but we do look like a couple of Navy fellows. Hats.
Ow! Hard hats. Paul Marshall, 7 News.
Hundreds of hopefuls turned out in Adelaide today to audition for Seven's new series of Pop Stars Live. If you're wondering what the competition's like, here's a sample.
Oh, I bet you're wondering how I knew about your plans to make me blue. Oh, with some other guy that you knew before. Between the two of us guys, you know I love you more.
Marvin Gaye, eat your heart out. We heard it through the grapevine that the Sydney auditions will be at Luna Park from 10 a.m. this Sunday. Also in Sydney today, Guy Sebastian launching his debut album, Just As I Am. Already a smash hit with advance orders of 300,000. Sport is next with Mark Beretta, and our cricketers sound a bit of a warning.
Yes, Ian, great to have you here. Welcome. And yes, a draw in the first test, but not before some nervous moments for India. And a blueprint to save Australian soccer. The first test has ended in a draw, but not before some final day excitement at the Gabba. After Damien Martin and Steve Waugh scored unbeaten half-centuries, the Australian captain set India the unlikely target of 199 off 20 overs.
Resuming on 6 for 362, the Indians lost 2 wickets without adding to their overnight total. The tail had some sting in it. Harbhajan and Zahir.
That one much better. In fact, it's gone all the way.
The spin of McGill wrapped it up.
Or knocked him over.
Would the Australians make a game of it? Justin Langer with the chance to sit back and watch.
Well bowled, very good.
After a scratchy start, Ricky Ponting and Matthew Hayden began to intimidate the Indian bowling.
That's huge.
By the time Ponting went for 50, the match was heading for a draw.
Who's got him?
Matthew Hayden became the first batsman to make 1,000 test runs in 3 consecutive calendar years. But on 99, at better than a run a ball, 1 sweep too many.
Man out there, and he's got him.
Making his last test visit to the Gabba crease, Steve Waugh left the crowd with a reminder of his best.
Shouts of catch it, but it's well away from...
The skipper and Damien Martin made up for their first innings run-out disaster with a century stand, each scoring half-centuries before the declaration at 3 for 284, a lead of 198. Nathan Bracken rocked the Indian top order.
Should be out, will be out. That's a good start.
Chopra next ball, but no hat-trick as Dravid and Laxman put their side back on track. Nick McArdle, 7 News.
Australian soccer is to undergo another overhaul, with Sydney likely to lose 2 of its 5 teams in the National League. A new competition's planned for next year, made up of just 10 sides.
He's seen as soccer's saviour, but millionaire businessman Frank Lowy won't be propping up the proposed New Look National League.
I didn't take this job to provide funds for it. I come for this job to do the work what needs to be done.
And with clubs losing $52 million in the past 3 years, the Australian Soccer Association chairman says it's time to cut the competition back to 10 teams.
The clubs need to take a different perspective of where they're going to be. There'll be a new ball game. And in order to participate, they have to lift their games.
The NSL Task Force recommends Sydney lose 2 of its 5 teams, but even if sides raise the proposed $5.5 million budget, there's no certainty to win a franchise.
I think that's a slap in the face for us clubs that have been around for a while.
The Sydney United treasurer thinks they're asking too much.
We have no World Cup qualification, we have no media partner, we have no commercial rights. So what are we giving potential investors in return?
But if we're going to have a domestic competition that we will get people to the grounds, people excited, idols to be created, then this is the chance.
I think it's the last chance for people of our era, but it's certainly not the last chance for the game. I mean, the game will ultimately get there, it's just that we'd like to see it happen.
Lowy hopes to get the Summer League going by October. Patrick Monaghan, 7 News.
Yeah, Ian, a lot of work to get done in 10 months. That's it for Sport Tonight. See you tomorrow.
OK, thanks, Mike. Next in 7 News, meet Sydney's new weather presenter with the latest on when it's going to get warmer. And now we welcome our new weather presenter, Nuala Hafner. Nuala.
Thanks, Ian. Good evening. Very nice to be here and just in time for a taste of some real Sydney summer weather, I hope. Yes, after a rather overcast weekend, there were a few tantalising snippets of sunshine today, but not enough to really warm things up yet. Light onshore winds kept the top in town to just 22 degrees, but further inland, Penrith and Campbelltown made it up to 24 degrees. On the satellite map, more evidence that we're in for some brighter days with mostly clear skies over New South Wales. However, there is a frontal system approaching from the southwest and it may churn up some more unstable weather for us later in the week. Interstate tomorrow, Darwin, Brisbane and Melbourne can all expect a few late thundery showers. Some early drizzle in Hobart, but a fine day elsewhere. On the waters, winds will turn a light easterly in the afternoon with slight conditions on a 2-metre swell. Sunrise is set for around 20 to 6, sunset just before 8 o'clock. Across Sydney tomorrow, after another cool and cloudy start, the sunshine should break through for some of that warmer weather I was talking about. Up to 25 in town, but cracking 30 in Richmond, Penrith and in Campbelltown. As the mercury creeps up though, so does the pollen count. Medium levels are forecast for tomorrow. And looking further ahead, Wednesday stands out as the pick of the week, sunny and 28 degrees. Still warm but increasingly humid on Thursday and on Friday, ahead of the threat of some late stormy showers around for the start of the weekend, I'm afraid, Ian.
Always on the weekend. Should I cancel my tennis match?
Yeah.
Thanks, Nuala. That's 7 News to now. On Sunrise at 6 a.m. tomorrow, the final word on toys that won't break the bank this Christmas. I'm Ian Ross. Thanks for your company. Good night.